Dawn breaks over Mystic Fort on May 26, 1637. Pequot families stir, unaware of the horror coming. Suddenly, 77 English settlers and 700 Mohegan and Narragansett warriors surge from the shadows. Torches flare, engulfing the fort in fire. Screams echo as 400 to 700 Pequot, men, women, children, burn or fall to blades. This wasn't a skirmish. It was a massacre, planned by the English to obliterate the Pequots' power, as Captain John Mason's report confirms. Was this vengeance for the 16th of July 36 murder of traitor John Oldham, as the English argued, or a cold-blooded move to seize Pequot land and trade routes fueled by their Dutch alliances? Dive into the Pequot War of 1636 to 1638, a brutal clash that nearly erased a tribe. What ignited this inferno, and how did it change America forever? The early 1630s see the Pequot playing a sharp game. They're not just trading with the English. They've locked in a powerful alliance with the Dutch in the Hudson Valley. By 1632, Pequot leaders are cutting deals that bring in muskets, iron tools, and access to Dutch trade networks reaching New Amsterdam. A 1633 Dutch log details Pequot traders hauling back firearms and gunpowder, boosting their military strength. This alliance gives them an edge, making rival tribes wary and shifting the balance of power in their favor. The English in Massachusetts Bay aren't happy. By 1635, they're dead set on owning the fur trade, the economic backbone of New England. Beaver pelts are a hot commodity in Europe, and the Pequots' grip on Connecticut River trade routes is a major obstacle. A 1635 report from Massachusetts Bay grumbles about the Pequots' trade dominance, signaling growing frustration, telecommunication. The English view the Pequot, armed with Dutch weapons and flush with furs, as both a commercial rival and a potential military danger. A tribe with guns and allies is a serious concern. The Pequots' Dutch connection supercharges their influence. By 1634, they're outtrading other tribes, raking in wealth and firepower. Dutch records note Pequot warriors using European guns in clashes with neighbors, showcasing their strength. This alarms the English, who are pushing to expand their settlements. A 1635 letter from a Plymouth official calls the Pequot overmighty, warning their Dutch ties could destabilize the region. The English fear losing control, and their unease is turning to hostility. By 1635, sparks are flying. Minor skirmishes erupt as English settlers encroach on Pequot land. A late 1635 incident near the Connecticut River, documented in colonial records, sees Pequot traders and English settlers brawling over a contested trading post. These clashes are small but frequent, with both sides growing bolder. The Pequot resent English farms slicing into their territory, while the English accuse the Pequot of strong-arming their traders. The fur trade, once a shared venture, is now a source of bitter rivalry. This escalating feud is driven by more than petty disputes. It's about who controls New England's wealth and land. The English crave a trade monopoly and open territory, but the Pequot, bolstered by Dutch support, stand firm. By 1636, the rift is deep, and the region is a tinderbox ready for a single spark to set it ablaze. Let's step back to the early 1600s in the Connecticut River Valley. This is Pequot territory, and they're not just another tribe. They're a dominant force, one of the most powerful Native American groups in New England. With an estimated population of 3,000 to 4,000 by the 1630s, the Pequot hold serious sway over the region, and it's no accident. Their society is remarkably organized. Think of a complex web of leaders, councils, and kinship networks, all working together to keep the tribe strong. This isn't a loose collection of villages. The Pequot have a political structure that rivals early colonial governments, with clear hierarchies and decision-making systems. Primary sources, like accounts from Dutch traders in the 1620s, describe their ability to mobilize warriors and negotiate alliances, giving them an edge over neighboring tribes. At the heart of their power is trade. The Pequot control key fur trade routes along the Connecticut River, a lifeline for wealth in the early 17th century. They're the middlemen in a bustling network, linking native tribes and European settlers. Furs, especially beaver pelts, are like gold, and the Pequot have a near monopoly on supplying them to eager buyers. This isn't just local trade. Their routes connect to broader markets, reaching Dutch posts in the Hudson Valley and English settlements in Massachusetts. Speaking of trade, the Pequot are savvy players. By the early 1630s, they're dealing with both the English and the Dutch, swapping furs for metal tools, cloth, and even firearms. These goods aren't just luxuries. Iron axes make farming easier. Cloth signals status, and guns shift the balance of power. Dutch records from 1634 note the Pequot's growing stockpile of European weapons, which makes them a formidable force. But this trade also plants seeds of conflict. The English, hungry for control, start eyeing the Pequot's wealth and influence with suspicion. So, here's the Pequot in 1636, a tightly knit society, masters of the fur trade, and armed with European tech. They're at the peak of their power, but that strength makes them a target. How does a tribe this strong end up in a war that nearly destroys them? And what role does their trade empire play in sparking the flames? Let's dive deeper. Let's rewind to the early 1630s. The Pequot, fresh off their fur trade success, are rubbing shoulders with the English settlers pouring into New England. These aren't just casual meetups. By 1631, the Pequot are striking deals with colonists from the newly established Massachusetts Bay and Plymouth colonies. The setup is simple. Pequot supply furs, especially valuable beaver pelts, and in return, they get English goods like iron tools, woven cloth, and even firearms. It's a win-win. English records from 1632 describe barrels of furs flowing out of Pequot territory, while metal axes and muskets start showing up in their villages. This trade isn't just about stuff, it's a lifeline. For the Pequot, European tools make farming and hunting easier. Cloth boosts social status, and guns give them an edge over rival tribes. The English, meanwhile, are thrilled. Furs are their ticket to profit back in Europe, and the Pequot's trade network delivers. For a moment, it feels like everyone's getting along, but beneath the surface, trouble's brewing. By 1630, English settlements are spreading like wildfire. Massachusetts Bay, founded in 1630, swells to over 4,000 settlers by 1634, according to colonial censuses. Plymouth's growing too, pushing deeper into native lands. These newcomers need farmland, timber, and access to trade routes, and they're setting their sights on the Connecticut River Valley, the heart of Pequot territory. The Pequot, who've controlled this region for decades, start feeling the squeeze. Their hunting grounds shrink, and their trade routes get crowded as English traders muscle in. Tensions creep up by 1633. The English aren't just trading partners anymore, they're competitors. Pequot leaders, likely meeting in council as described in Dutch trader accounts, notice their access to resources dwindling. English farms are carving up land once used for Pequot crops or hunting. Worse, the English start bypassing Pequot middlemen, dealing directly with other tribes to undercut their fur trade dominance. A 1634 report from Massachusetts Bay mentions complaints about Pequot obstructing English trade, a sign of growing friction. This isn't just about land or furs, it's a clash of worlds. The Pequots see the valley as their home, their source of power. The English, driven by ambition and a belief in their right to expand, view it as a blank slate for profit and settlement. By 1635, What started as a profitable partnership is fraying fast. So, what turns this uneasy tension into all-out war? And how does a single spark set the whole region ablaze? Let's find out. The early 1630s see the Pequot playing a sharp game. They're not just trading with the English, they've locked in a powerful alliance with the Dutch in the Hudson Valley. By 1632, Pequot leaders are cutting deals that bring in muskets, iron tools, and access to Dutch trade networks reaching New Amsterdam. A 1633 Dutch log details Pequot traders hauling back firearms and gunpowder, boosting their military strength. This alliance gives them an edge, making rival tribes wary and shifting the balance of power in their favor. The English in Massachusetts Bay aren't happy. By 1635, they're dead set on owning the fur trade, the economic backbone of New England. Beaver pelts are a hot commodity in Europe, and the Pequot's grip on Connecticut River trade routes is a major obstacle. A 1635 report from Massachusetts Bay grumbles about the Pequot's trade dominance, signaling growing frustration telecommunication. The English view the Pequot, armed with Dutch weapons and flush with furs, as both a commercial rival and a potential military danger. A tribe with guns and allies is a serious concern. The Pequot's Dutch connection supercharges their influence. By 1634, they're out-trading other tribes, raking in wealth and firepower. Dutch records note Pequot warriors using European guns in clashes with neighbors, showcasing their strength. This alarms the English, who are pushing to expand their settlements. A 1635 letter from a Plymouth official calls the Pequot overmighty, warning their Dutch ties could destabilize the region. The English fear losing control, and their unease is turning to hostility. By 1635, sparks are flying. Minor skirmishes erupt as English settlers encroach on Pequot land. A late 1635 incident near the Connecticut River, documented in colonial records, sees Pequot traders and English settlers brawling over a contested trading post. These clashes are small but frequent, with both sides growing bolder. The Pequot resent English farms slicing into their territory, while the English accuse the Pequot of strong-arming their traders. The fur trade, once a shared venture, is now a source of bitter rivalry. This escalating feud is driven by more than petty disputes. It's about who controls New England's wealth and land. The English crave a trade monopoly and open territory, but the Pequot, bolstered by Dutch support, stand firm. By 1636, the rift is deep, and the region is a tinderbox ready for a single spark to set it ablaze. The 16th of July 36. The Connecticut River Valley is a tense frontier. John Oldham, an English trader, sails between Massachusetts Bay and the river, bartering goods with native tribes. He's a known figure, but this journey ends in blood. His boat drifts ashore, his body hacked and lifeless. The English pin the blame on the Pequot, though a 1636 Massachusetts Bay report admits the killer's identity is unclear. The Pequot, already seen as a threat due to their trade dominance, become the easy target. The murder sends shockwaves. To the English, it's more than a killing. It's an attack on their authority and trade dreams. By 1636, Massachusetts Bay leaders are fed up with the Pequot's fur trade control and Dutch alliances. Governor John Winthrop's, the 16th of August, 36-letter brands, Oldham's death and outrage, demanding swift justice. Settlers buzz with anger, fueled by tales of Pequot hostility. The mood in the colonies shifts from unease to war fever. The English act fast. By late the 16th of July 36, they muster a force from Massachusetts Bay, Plymouth, and Saybrook, roughly 90 settlers strong. They're not alone. The Mohegan and Narragansett tribes, nursing grudges against the Pequot, join in. Narragansett oral histories, later recorded, recall Pequot land grabs in the 1620s that displaced them. The Mohegan, under Sachem Uncas, chafe at Pequot dominance too. By the 16th of August 36, this coalition, blending English muskets and native warriors, is poised to strike. Oldham's death, murky as it is, becomes the perfect excuse. The English, eyeing Pequot land and trade routes, seize the moment to rally support. Teaming up with Mohegan and Narragansett allies amplifies their strength, turning native rivalries into a tool for war. This single spark ignites a conflict that will engulf the region, pushing both sides toward a brutal showdown. The 16th of August, 36. The Connecticut River Valley is a powder keg after John Oldham's murder. Captain John Mason, a battle-hardened English commander, takes charge. He assembles about 90 settlers from Massachusetts Bay and Saybrook, joined by hundreds of Mohegan and Narragansett warriors eager to strike at their Pequot rivals. Their goal is clear: cripple the Pequot. The first raid hits like a storm. Mason's force charges a Pequot village near the river's mouth, torches in hand. Wooden huts and bark roofs ignite, flames roaring as black smoke chokes the sky. Mason's 1636 account reports dozens of Pequot warriors killed, slashed by swords or shot as they defend their homes. The village is left in ruins, food stores burned, and survivors fleeing into the woods. The Pequot hit back hard. By late the 16th of September 36, their warriors launch swift counterattacks. Moving silently through forests, small Pequot bands strike English settlements. In October, a Plymouth farm is ambushed. A colonial record notes 6 settlers dead, their barns torched, and livestock butchered. Another raid in November targets a Massachusetts Bay trading post, leaving 2 traders killed and supplies looted. These attacks are precise, exploiting the Pequod's mastery of the terrain to strike and vanish. English settlers, shaken, start fortifying their homes, living in constant fear of the next raid. The violence spirals. By early 1637, the valley is a war zone. Mason's forces burn at least 3 Pequot villages, with colonial accounts estimating 20 to 30 Pequot dead across these raids. The Pequot's counterstrikes claim at least 10 English lives, per 1636 records, and destroy critical supplies like grain and tools. Each attack fuels more rage, turning isolated clashes into a full-scale war. Mason's raids aim to break the Pequot, but their relentless retaliation proves they're still a formidable foe. This brutal cycle locks both sides in a deadly struggle, setting the stage for a devastating escalation. May 26, 1637. The sun hasn't yet risen over the Connecticut woods. Captain John Mason, a steely English commander, leads a force of 77 settlers from Massachusetts Bay and Saybrook, flanked by about 700 Mohegan and Narragansett warriors. Their target is Mystic Fort, a Pequot stronghold near modern-day Mystic, Connecticut. Inside the wooden palisade, 400 to 700 Pequot, including warriors, women, and children, sleep or stand guard, confident their fort is a safe haven. Mason's plan is cold and calculated. A surprise attack to crush the Pequot's heart. The assault begins at dawn. Mason's men creep through the mist, silent, with Mohegan and Narragansett allies fanning out to encircle the fort. At Mason's signal, muskets crack and arrows fly. The Pequot wake to chaos, grabbing weapons, but it's too late. English soldiers hurl torches onto the fort's dry wooden walls, and flames erupt, swallowing huts in seconds. A 1637 account by Mason describes the Inferno. The fire raged so fierce, none could escape it. Smoke chokes the air, and screams pierce the morning as the blaze traps those inside. The scene is horrific. Pequot warriors try to fight, wielding spears and bows, but the flames and smoke overwhelm them. Families scramble for the fort's gates, only to face English swords and Narragansett war clubs. Some climbed the palisade in desperation, but Mohegan archers cut them down. Mason's report coldly notes, hundreds burned alive, while others are slaughtered trying to flee. By sunrise, Mystic Fort is a smoldering ruin. English and native sources estimate 400 to 700 Pequot dead, nearly everyone in the fort. Only a handful slip into nearby swamps. The English lose just 2 men, a grim testament to the attack's one-sided devastation. This isn't just a battle, it's a massacre that shifts the war's tide. The Pequot strength, once formidable with 3,000 to 4,000 people, is gutted in a single day. Mason's strategy, fueled by English ambition and native grudges, delivers a crippling blow. The brutality at Mystic sends a clear message. The English aim for total destruction to erase the Pequot threat. With their stronghold gone and morale shattered, the Pequot face a desperate fight for survival as the English press their advantage. The 16th of June, 37. The ashes of Mystic Fort are still warm, but the English aren't done. Captain John Mason, emboldened by the massacre, leads his 77 settlers and a growing force of Mohegan and Narragansett warriors, now numbering over 800, on a merciless hunt. Their mission: wipe out the Pequot survivors. They sweep through the Connecticut River Valley, targeting any village or hideout still standing. In late June, Mason's force hits a Pequot settlement near modern-day Fairfield. Muskets roar, and arrows fly as warriors try to hold their ground. A 1637 colonial report counts 30 Pequot dead, their huts burned to cinders, crops trampled underfoot. The campaign is relentless. In July, Mason tracks a group of Pequot to a swamp near present-day New Haven. About 100 Pequot, mostly women and children, have taken refuge in the muddy reeds, hoping to evade capture. Mason's men and their allies wade in, swords drawn. The swamp becomes a killing ground. English accounts describe warriors cut down and families dragged out, some killed on the spot. Others, too weak to resist, are bound with ropes. A surviving record notes 60 Pequot slain and 40 captured in this single raid, their makeshift shelters left in ruins. The Pequots' resistance fades. By the 16th of August, 37, their warriors, once numbering in the hundreds, are scattered or dead. Colonial logs estimate over 500 Pequot killed since Mystic, with hundreds more taken prisoner. Captives face brutal fates. Some are executed publicly to send a message, their deaths recorded in English journals as justice served. Others, about 200 to 300 per a 1637 shipping manifest, are shackled and sent to English colonies in the Caribbean, particularly Barbados, sold as slaves by late 1637. A few are handed to Mohegan and Narragansett allies, absorbed as servants, their Pequot identity erased. This merciless push breaks the Pequot for good. Once a nation of 3,000 to 4,000, they're reduced to a few hundred by the 16th of August, 37. Their villages gone, their people dead or enslaved. Mason's campaigns, backed by native allies, resolve the war's final challenge, ensuring the Pequot can never rebuild. The valley, now scarred by fire and blood, falls firmly under English control, marking the near-total destruction of a once mighty tribe. The 16th of September, 38. The Connecticut River Valley lies quiet, but it's a silence born of devastation. After 2 years of relentless war, the Pequot are broken, their villages reduced to ash, their people slaughtered or enslaved. On the 21st of September 1638, English leaders from Massachusetts Bay, Plymouth, and Saybrook, joined by their Mohegan and Narragansett allies, gathered to put an end to the Pequot War. They signed the Treaty of Hartford, a document that's less a peace agreement and more a death sentence for the Pequot's existence. According to the treaty's text, preserved in colonial archives. The Pequot are declared no longer a nation. The treaty's terms are brutal. It strips the Pequot of their sovereignty, erasing them as a distinct political entity. The few hundred survivors, down from a pre-war population of 3,000 to 4,000, are forbidden from rebuilding their tribe. The treaty explicitly bans them from using the name Pequot or reorganizing under any leader. English records from 1638 note that surviving Pequot are to be divided among the Mohegan and Narragansett, or scattered across English settlements, ensuring they can never unite. This isn't just defeat, it's obliteration. Harsh rules lock the Pequot out of the region's power structure. The treaty bars them from trading or negotiating with the English or other tribes, cutting off any chance of regaining influence. A 1638 Massachusetts Bay directive orders settlers to arrest any Pequot found regrouping, with penalties including death or enslavement. The Mohegan and Narragansett, now key English allies, are tasked with enforcing these terms, profiting from their rivals' downfall. The treaty ensures the Pequot pose no threat to the English, who now claim the Connecticut Valley's rich lands and trade routes. The Treaty of Hartford marks the Pequot's final collapse as a regional power. It cements English dominance, opening New England to unchecked colonial expansion. The valley, once a Pequot stronghold, becomes a canvas for English farms and towns. This agreement, born from fire and conquest, redraws the region's future, leaving the Pequot a shadow of their former might. The Pequot War leaves devastation in its wake by 1638. The Pequot, once a powerful nation of 3,000 to 4,000 people, are nearly destroyed. Colonial records estimate only a few hundred survive by the 16th of September 38, a catastrophic loss. Their villages, burned to ash, are gone. Survivors face brutal fates. Some are enslaved, with 200 to 300 shipped to Caribbean colonies like Barbados, according to 1637 shipping logs. Others are absorbed into Mohegan and Narragansett tribes, but only as subordinates, their Pequot identity erased. The Treaty of Hartford ensures they can never rebuild, scattering them across New England's edges. Other native tribes feel the war's impact. By 1640, the Narragansett, who allied with the English, grow cautious. English accounts note Narragansett leaders questioning colonial expansion, uneasy about the military power shown at Mystic Fort, where 400 to 700 Pequot died in one day. They recognize the English as a potential threat, capable of turning that brutality on them. This mistrust plants seeds for future conflicts, like King Philip's War in 1675, which claims thousands of lives on both sides. Some tribes, like the Mohegan, maintain English alliances, but the terms are uneven. A 1640 agreement grants the Mohegan Pequot land, yet under English control, limiting their independence. By the 1650s, these alliances grow increasingly one-sided, with tribes like the Mohegan losing land to colonial expansion. English settlements dominate the Connecticut Valley, pushing native communities to the margins. The Pequot War stands as a grim chapter in American history, exposing the violence of European colonialism. Captain John Mason's 1637 report, detailing the Mystic Massacre, reveals a chilling strategy of conquest. Yet it also underscores native resilience, as survivors, though scattered, preserve fragments of their culture against immense odds. This war sets a pattern for the violent clashes of the 17th and 18th centuries, from the Powhatan Wars to the French and Indian War. Each conflict erodes native sovereignty, clearing the path for English and later American growth. The Pequot's fate, marked by dispossession, enslavement, and erasure, becomes a model repeated across the continent. The war's legacy is English dominance in New England. By the 1640s, the Connecticut Valley fills with English farms and towns built on former Pequot land. Colonial records show land grants surging after 1638, speeding native displacement. This expansion drives the rise of the colonies, laying the groundwork for a new nation, but at a profound cost, shaping Native American relations for centuries.